here's what happens when you put a privacy-obsessed Canadian cloud storage service against one of the big US tech giants. One of them uploads probably around 40% faster, while the other makes it impossible for anyone, including government with warrants, to read them. Now, I just spent weeks pushing Sync.com and OneDrive to their limits, and the results completely shattered my expectations. At its core, we are looking at two fundamentally different philosophies here. OneDrive is all about convenience, giving you top speeds and seamless Office integration, but Microsoft holds all your encryption keys. Sync.com sacrifices some performance for encryption, so basically they're so bulletproof that even if hackers breached their service tomorrow, your files would still be unreadable gibberish. But the biggest surprise, after testing everything from pricing to features to real-world performance, I came to an unexpected conclusion which I think will surprise you as much as it did me. Today, I'm breaking down the speed tests, our pricing analysis, and obviously we'll do a security deep dive that revealed which service wins in each category. Are you ready? Well, let's dive in, shall we? So let's start by looking at the interfaces and basic features, since this greatly impacts your everyday experience. On this front, I'm happy to report that Sync.com recently launched a major redesign of their web interface. I have to say, they really stepped up their game. I was never a huge fan of the old, horizontal menu bar. It felt clunky, it felt outdated, but things feel much cleaner now and much more modern. They've implemented a sleek vertical sidebar on the left hand that initially just shows icons, but when you hover over it, the sidebar expands to reveal the full labels. While it may feel a little bit limited compared to feature-heavy alternatives like Google Drive with its dozen of connected apps, it's actually quite refreshing because essentially you get exactly what you need without digital clutter. You want a cloud storage service that is secure, that stores your files, boom, nothing else, and it just works. During my testing, I never encountered bloatware, I never got unnecessary notifications, or essentially attempts to upsell me onto other services like Mega does constantly. The mobile apps stay the same. They're simple, they're fast, and with all the essential features you'd expect, like automatic photo backup, file syncing works seamlessly across Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. Now, with OneDrive, the user experience varies dramatically on how deep you are in the Microsoft ecosystem. Windows users get automatic folder backup, native file explorer, if you use Windows, obviously, and seamless Office document creation, while Mac users miss out on some integration features and Linux users are limited to basically web-only access. If you're a Windows user, OneDrive feels like a natural extension of your operating system. It's built into Windows Explorer. It automatically backs up your desktop documents and your documents folder, your picture folders, and generally stays out of your way until you really need it. The web interface is polished and familiar to anyone who's basically used modern Microsoft products. The color scheme matches across Office apps. Icon styling is consistent throughout the Microsoft ecosystem, and when you click on Edit a document, it transitions to the Office web app without jarring interface changes. Now, I admit, I felt a bit overwhelmed by all the Office integration options scattered throughout the interface. There are buttons to create new Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, and PowerPoint presentations right in the file browser. Plus, you get sharing options that include team integrations, like Outlook email options as well, SharePoint publishing in the toolbar, and there's a lot going on. But Microsoft makes sense in a bit that the ecosystem is obviously much more complex because they're a global organization using with thousands of employees using this tool, right? And when you look at the mobile apps, they're also feature-rich and responsive and allow users to scan documents, basically create whiteboards or scan the whiteboards and digitize them, scan business cards directly into the mobile devices. However, I did find OneDrive like a little bit aggressive with sync notifications, which is usually good, but also promotions for other Microsoft services, which I found incredibly annoying. So yes, I know you have other services going on, Microsoft, but currently I just want to sync my 100 files to the folder, please. Thank you very much. For file sharing, both services offer solid capabilities, but with some differences. With Sync.com, you've got granular permission controls. It lets you set read-only access, expiration dates, and download limits. And for Teams, Sync offers centralized folder management where you can assign access permissions to specific users or groups. OneDrive's sharing integrates naturally deeply with Microsoft's ecosystem. The seamless connection with Office 365 is generally impressive. You can create, edit, and collaborate on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents directly within OneDrive, and changes sync in real time across all devices. And if you're using it in your company and using it in your private life, then everything integrates, everything just works. This also extends to Outlook and Teams and other Microsoft services, right? So there's no limit to the integration. So that's how they get you. Obviously, that's how they get major companies sign their contracts, because they say, okay, it's very easy to use for all of the employees to and be more secure and be more productive, and everyone can use Teams and everything that Microsoft has to offer, right? Smart strategy, something that you need to be aware of, because there might be some vendor lock-in here that you don't want. But all in all, it would be a solid choice if you say, okay, I'm using Microsoft anyway, so OneDrive it is then. Okay, here's the kicker though. Sync.com also offers all of this through its Microsoft 365 integration. Just like with OneDrive, you can create files, edit them, and even do real-time collaboration with other people directly from the Sync.com interface. The web interface, that is, not the desktop. You have to go into the web and then create the file or open the file and edit it in the web. OneDrive's Files on Demand feature is particularly clever, allowing you to see all your cloud files in Windows Explorer or Mac Finder without actually downloading them to your device. Only when you open a file does it really download. It saves obviously significant on local storage space, and Sync.com recently added its own take on this. It's called Cloud Files, which does basically the same thing by allowing direct access to files without taking up local storage space. So if you have a laptop like me, especially on my secondary laptop that I just use for travel, that has a measly 256 gigabytes of hard drive space, then this is a godsend, because I can still see and view all my files and only pick the ones that I really need from the file tree and then download them to my computer and go and edit them and then re-upload them automatically. Now, for photo and video management, OneDrive automatically backs up photos from your mobile devices. And yes, Sync.com offers this feature as well. But OneDrive goes the extra mile by including basic editing tools. And the search functionality is powered by Microsoft's AI, making it very easy to find files using natural language queries like, okay, I want to see my crazy photos from last Christmas where I have my Christmas sweater on that I just love and wear every Christmas, or documents like comments about the budget from 2022, or whatever you need, right? Being able to find content like this can be like a huge time saver, especially if you are a data hoarder like me and tend to keep every single photo and file just in case. But also if you're like a bigger organization, well, you have thousands and thousands of files and you need access quickly to the most important documents, then searching within the documents is an advantage. But obviously it comes with the security downside that it is not end-to-end encrypted. Now, here's one feature where Sync.com goes the extra mile instead. It is called the Vault. Okay? The Vault is a place where you can store files in the cloud that don't sync to your devices, making it perfect for archiving old photos or documents you rarely access. Now, for me, it is super easy to manage my storage on my laptop without sacrificing access to my files, right? Because I can just move files into the Vault, they stay in the Vault, and I rarely need them. I don't even need to see them in the file tree. I just need to know they're always there when I need it. For example, for the next tax audit, right? That always comes like 2 years, 3 years later, depending on where you live. And then suddenly you need all those files again, right? I know they live in my Vault. I can access them on the web interface in Sync.com, download them as needed, do the thing that I need to do, and then close it off and forget about it. Now, nothing takes up hard drive space, and it's secure. Okay, we have to move to security and privacy. I'll tell you straight away how it is, right? Sync.com is one of the best cloud storage options security-wise. We have discussed this on and off here in the channel. Obviously, you know this. If you haven't subscribed yet, do make sure to click the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notified when we release new videos, and always like the video. That helps us a lot here on the channel to continue to create content for you. But talking more about security, they use AES 256-bit encryption for data in transit and at rest. They offer genuine client-side encryption, and this is included even on their free plan. This means Sync.com literally cannot read your files. They don't have the keys to decrypt them, so your data stays completely private. I also appreciate their transparency, and Sync.com publishes technical white papers detailing their cryptographic implementation rather than keeping it secret, making it, for me at least, the obvious choice for storing documents like financial records or my health records, my blood work, whatever it is that is super sensitive to my personality and to my business, or any data that you don't want anybody or any third party to access, right? And here's where you'll start to realize the consequences of sacrificing security for convenience. Microsoft uses AES 256-bit encryption for data in transit and at rest, just like Sync.com does. Sounds secure on paper, right? But here's a key difference. Microsoft holds the encryption keys. This means they can decrypt and access your files whenever they want or need to comply with law enforcement requests. Microsoft does try to address the security concerns with a feature called Personal Vault, but it's important to understand what it actually does versus what Sync.com offers. The Personal Vault doesn't implement client-side encryption. Instead, it just adds a layer of authentication, like requiring your fingerprint to access certain files. The Personal Vault provides security against casual breaches or stolen devices, but Microsoft itself still has your data and has the ability to then decrypt your files. As a US-based company, Microsoft is subject to laws like the Cloud Act, which can compel them to hand over user data. For businesses operating in the EU, this creates GDPR compliance nightmares, since OneDrive can transfer data to US servers without adequate privacy protections. And Sync.com is under the jurisdiction of Canada's Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, which is always a mouthful in the videos to present, and for short, it's PIPEDA. It even based its 10 privacy principles on those established by the law. In addition, it's GDPR and also HIPAA compliant. All right, Sync's privacy policy is refreshingly straightforward. It's written in plain English rather than legal jargon. It clearly states, we cannot access your encrypted files, instead of bearing data access rights in subsections like Microsoft does. They explicitly list the data they collect: email, IP address, basic usage metrics, and that's it. Microsoft's approach is more concerning, to be honest. Beyond just storing your files, OneDrive is part of the larger Microsoft ecosystem that collects browser history, collects location data, and even speech and typing patterns. So Microsoft reserves the right to scan uploaded content for security purposes, including malware detection and illegal content filtering, but the technical details of these scans remain murky. There is no documentation where you can exactly see what Microsoft will and can do with your files. Performance also really matters, and let me tell you, the results from my testing revealed some surprising differences between these two services. To test their capabilities, I used a Windows virtual machine located in Dublin, Ireland. Well, you know me, I basically live in Dublin with my virtual connection. It was connected via a 1 gigabit per second fiber connection. I uploaded and downloaded 5 gigabytes of mixed file types, including 4K video footage, by the way. I ran the test twice, first with a connection throttle to 100 megabits per second for stability testing, and then again at full 1 gigabit per second speed to see how each service handles unlimited bandwidth. Now, there's no denying it, OneDrive absolutely dominated in this area. During the throttled 100 megabit per second test, uploads completed in an average of 7 minutes and 20 seconds, with downloads finishing in 7 minutes and 18 seconds. The performance was remarkably consistent between test runs, with only 38 to 40 seconds of variation. If you are interested in all the speed tests, do make the clickety-click down below in the description, because there we have our detailed speed testing chart and guide, so you can really drill in on which service you're interested in, and you can see our speed testing results. And also I'm going to link up a specific cloud storage speed test video up here, so after this video you can go ahead and watch that, and obviously give it your like, much appreciated. Now, looking at Sync.com, this is obviously impressive compared to what they do. It showed quite a lot of variation. This means you can actually predict how long uploads will take, rather than wonder if it'll be 5 minutes or 15 minutes. The CPU usage remained low throughout, and the service efficiently used multiple threads depending on file types and file sizes. When I removed the bandwidth throttling, OneDrive's performance became even more impressive. Uploads completed in under 3 minutes, while downloads finished in just over 4 minutes. Now, the service maintained stable speeds around like 30 megabytes per second, occasionally reaching higher peaks, and showed excellent optimization for different file types. Compared to that, I must say Sync's performance, unfortunately, is a bit disappointing. During the throttle tests, uploads took an average of 9 minutes and 47 seconds, while downloads required 11 minutes and 56 seconds. The service struggled particularly with large files, and speeds were inconsistent throughout the transfer process. CPU usage was moderate, and the overall experience felt less, I would say, polished than OneDrive's implementation. File uploads sometimes stalled without like clear progress indicators. The Sync client occasionally required manual intervention to resume transfers, and error messages were often generic rather than helpful diagnostic information. So that happens if you are like heavily testing these services. It might not occur in real life scenarios, but here we are a testing lab, right? And we do a lot of these tests, so you can be aware of that. Now, even during the unlimited bandwidth tests, Sync.com didn't do really much better. The speeds peaked at briefly around 23 megabytes per second, but averaged around 8 to 9 megabytes per second, while downloads peaked at 28 megabytes per second with similar averages. So, you can really calculate how fast your files would essentially upload to the cloud. Obviously, your mileage may vary, and distance to the servers will obviously determine how fast things will upload and download. The service overall seemed to have like a server-side limitation that prevented it from taking like full advantage of the available bandwidth. And the main culprit for this performance is the encryption approach. Now, since all encryption and decryption happens on your device rather than on their servers, there is obviously additional processing overhead that can bottleneck transfer speeds. It's essentially, it's a trade-off, right? Sync.com sacrifices some speed for genuine privacy, and I'm not here to tell you what you need to do, right? But in my book, I value privacy a lot, right? I value when my files are safe, especially when it's sensitive files. And these performance differences, they become noticeable when you deal with large files or frequent syncing. If you are, for example, a photographer trying to back up a day's worth of raw images before your next shoot, or a video editor waiting to sync project files with remote collaborators, there might be some delays here. So maybe for productive environment, you want to use a faster service while you use Sync.com to really back up your files securely, which is also a great option in my opinion. If you're regularly uploading video files, backing up photo libraries that can also get large, extremely large, or if you work with large data sets in general, OneDrive speed advantage could save you significant time daily. And if it's a time-sensitive production that you're running, you definitely have to look into that and then decide, okay, maybe it's a good combination between Microsoft OneDrive and Sync.com to keep more secure, more sensitive files on Sync.com while you use OneDrive for production-ready files that need to be uploaded very fast to the servers to present it to a client, for example. Okay, pricing, because both services take also very different approaches to monetizing their platforms. You can start out with a free Sync.com account, which gives you 5 gigabytes of space with no strings attached. If you decide to upgrade, there's the personal plan that gives you 200 gigabytes of storage. Then there's the solo plan that bumps you up to 2 terabytes of storage. And for heavy users, the solo professional plan offers 6 terabytes of storage, which is excellent value for money compared to most other competitors. For Teams, you've got the Team Standard that gives you 1 terabytes of storage, and there's the Teams Plus Unlimited for unlimited storage and features like custom branding, phone support, admin delegation. So it's for larger teams and enterprises that really have organizations that have over 100 users or so, where it's really worthwhile. Now, all of these plans include unlimited data transfer, which means you won't face surprise charges for heavy usage, something that can really add up with other providers where you think, oh, great, I have unlimited file size, I have unlimited storage space, but then they say, we got you. We know what you're doing, we know what you're planning, so we're limiting your bandwidth. And that's why most of the unlimited claims are not truly unlimited. They limit you in the bandwidth. And this takes all the fun out of cloud storage, right? So I'm happy that there is no such thing. OneDrive's pricing is more complex because, as I said before, it's deeply integrated with Microsoft's broader ecosystem. The free plan offers the same 5 gigabytes as Sync.com, but with all the privacy bells and whistles that the latter provides. For paid plans, the OneDrive plans start with Microsoft 365 Basic at 100 gigabytes of storage. The personal plan gives you 1 terabyte of storage plus access to the full Office suite. Nice. The family plan provides 6 terabytes total storage, shared among up to 6 family members, plus Office apps for basically everyone. But the real value comes from the Microsoft 365 business plans that bundle OneDrive with Office applications, Teams, and other productivity tools. OneDrive for Business gives you 1 terabyte of storage, and Business Basic gives you 1 terabyte of cloud storage per employee, and Business Standard gives you the same amount of storage plus access to more apps and services like video editing tool Clipchamp and Microsoft Loop. Now, if you ask me, Sync.com is the clear winner in this comparison. Not only does it offer superior privacy protection through client-side encryption, it successfully sweeps the legs under OneDrive by offering the same productivity and collaboration through Microsoft 365. That said, OneDrive is certainly faster. So if you're routinely uploading and downloading huge amounts of data, especially on slower connections, it might be the better bet overall for you. So what's your take on this privacy versus performance trade-off? Are you willing to sacrifice some speed for genuine client-side encryption? Do you care about security and privacy at all? Well, drop a comment below and let me know which service fits your needs. And don't forget to subscribe for more cloud storage comparisons. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.